Hello, and welcome back to another episode. Today, I want to talk about signing my name, or I suppose signing our name. Our names are important, but learning to write our name and then developing a signature over time is something that's almost attached to our personhood. It's part of who we are, especially in the world in which we currently live. Our signature is used on the back of bank cards. It confirms purchases that we make. It signs off on important documents and wills and statements and essays, and it's on the mortgage for a house, for example. It's the sort of thing that can be used to identify you and indeed hold you to account if needs be. And so learning to sign your name and the different ways in which we do it throughout our lives is important, and it's interesting to look back on such things. So in my case, I suppose the history of me mark making, or I suppose Marc making, begins on the 17th of March 1986. It was around that time that I did my first piece of art. I first put crayon to paper, and from then on I was, I suppose, making a statement in the world about who I am and what I see and what I want other people to see. And this obviously continued into primary school, where in the early years of primary school I started to learn to write my name in very sort of block ways which were fairly easy to read, because obviously I was learning to write at the same time. These turn up in some of the books that I was producing at the time in primary school. We have The Paper Man, an adventure of a man made of paper, seemingly a robot with a snail toy next to him. And you can see there, Marc Astles, that was my name before I got married, is proudly at the bottom there. And on the back of the book, about the author, 7 years old and likes drawing. I got the idea from the Iron Man. So there you go. The Paper Man is essentially the Iron Man made out of paper. There's the Time Bike, another classic from Cat, the Cat Publishing Company. I developed my own publishing company, incidentally, apparently. And this is you can see someone about to ride their bike. I think I'll ride my bike. Brilliant spelling there. No early signs of the dyslexia. But again, by Marc A. there at the bottom there. Very proud to sign my work. There's The Ghost of Wimbledsley, which was an interesting one, actually. I'm quite pleased with that one. Again, from Cat Publishing. And so writing your name clearly in primary school was important. Being legible, being able to be identified and I suppose marked, have your work marked, was important. For reasons that I've discussed elsewhere, I only really have bits of primary school work from the earliest years. Moving on though, into sort of middle school and high school, I was developing, I suppose, more of a distinct personality, more of an artistic sensibility, you might say. And it was at that point that I started to mess around with graphics and my name. And I was particularly interested initially in, well, you know that S shape that everyone draws or drew in school? The sort of the 6 lines that become an S. And there's an interesting video actually here on YouTube about that. I came across it recently. But anyway, that sort of thing, I wanted to apply it to my initials, at the time M.A., Marc Astles. And so I came up with a design that normally was rendered in red and blue, but had elements of the M and the A in it, and I was quite pleased with that. As time went on, as I sort of moved towards the end of high school, getting into sort of A-level, the sort of slightly more moody version of me, as we can see from the pictures, absolutely was trying to be ironic with my name, and also actually I suppose trying to project to the world a happier version of myself, because I knew I wasn't particularly happy at the time. So I started to play with the M as a smiley face. And I quite like this one, actually. I think I even sometimes signed artwork with that. Although I also had developed a serious signature by then, because I had a bank account and all these sorts of things in high school. So all these sorts of things. No, sorry, I had a bank account. That's about it. But I had a bank account for my pocket money. So I developed a proper signature, and you can see M. Astles. It's sort of taking that red and blue M.A. and putting it into a signature, M.A.S.T.L.S. And that kind of went on for quite a while. But the M.A. was a constant theme throughout this time and into university, really. I was playing and toying with it. There's a sort of an anarchy version of M.A. that I produced in MS Paint, I believe. And then one day I proposed to my amazing wife, the wonderful Mrs. Soup, and we decided to squash our names together. Now, I might as well tell you the story. The reason being is that initially, when we were dating, she said to her friends, "Oh, I'm seeing this guy. He's really great." I think she said he's really great. He's really great. And and they said, "What's his name?" And she goes, "Well, his name's Marc Astles." But she, because of her Northern Irish accent, at the time it was a little bit deeper than it is now, a little bit more pronounced. She couldn't say Astles without saying basically arsehole. But it sounded like yeah. Exactly. So, and she was like, I can't do that. I cannot be shouting after, potential kids in the street, Jimmy, asshole, get inside now. So we decided to double barrel our surnames, Barkman, Astles. It gave her a run in, plus as well, we're both quite proud of our surnames. My surname is one of the oldest in the English language. It just is. That's an interesting fact. And hers has an interesting history based on her family being, it's called the plantationing. So basically they were sort of lifted from Germany and plonked in Ireland by the English monarchy a couple of hundred years ago. And it comes from Bachman. So Bachman through to Barkman, and it's got a very specific history. So we squashed them together, and suddenly my signatures and my doodling didn't make any more sense. I was no longer M.A. I was now M.B.A., sounding increasingly like a law firm / some sort of qualification. So there was a challenge there, and I started really early on. I started mucking about with monograms in ways that were sort of, so there's like an Art Deco kind of design that I did again in Microsoft Paint, which I quite like, but it was not something that I was going to be able to repeat by hand that easily. In and around our wedding, I actually developed a monogram that was B and A together, and we made a stamp out of that, which has a really satisfying sound. So we use that across our wedding invitations and related things, and we can still use it every now and then. Maybe at Christmas we'll stamp the back of letters. It's a bit of fun. But my signature had to change, and I'm not going to show you my actual signature. I'm going to do something similar to my signature here, because this is my current signature. But I think, was a fairly successful combination of M, B and A, using that sort of M-A style that I developed in high school. And actually, Mrs. Soup also has a similar signature, but it's RBA, because those are her initials. So yeah, it's interesting how these things develop over time, and also how important they are to us. I remember initially when I had to think about changing my signature, it was quite a challenge. Suddenly the thing that I used to identify myself for decades was no longer useful, or more than a decade, was no longer useful, and it had to be reassessed. However, throughout all of this, throughout all of the variations of MA, MBA, and other mark making, yep, I went there again. Other mark making, I have always had one particular thing follow me, and that is because my middle name is Robert. Or Bob, as some people like to say as soon as they hear that my middle name is Robert. And this is interesting because actually my father-in-law now, Mrs. Soup's dad, has a similar problem. His initials are also M-R, and then B in his case, Barkman. Because on important forms, medical forms, I think school results, for example, I was always Mr. M.R. Astles, or Mr. M.R. Parkman Astles. So Mr. has been a constant throughout, no matter what mark making I was doing. Third time lucky. Mr. has always been arriving in the post. That's been the consistent thing throughout. And it's interesting that I never wanted to incorporate Mr. into any of these, into these different signatures. But nonetheless, it's always been there. And with that in mind, I want to rather clumsily segue into suggesting that you might want to go to Mr. Soup on Twitch and follow that channel. On Thursday, I'll be doing my first Twitch stream of the current era. I have twitched in the past, but this is going to be, proper twitching. And that's the channel. It's Mr. Soup, and that's the reason. Mr. M.R. Soup. We're going to be doing a stream of, or starting a series of streams of Portal Reloaded. I'm looking forward to seeing how the portal gun works, along with the third time dynamic, shifting between the present in Portal and 20 years into the future. And I'm really looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to the fact that this Twitch channel will be an opportunity to merge my archaeological and other interests, and also to do different types of streams. I'm intending them doing, just chatting, making, presenting, looking at things on Twitch, going through boxes of stuff, this kind of thing, but also playing computer games. So do feel free to follow me on at Mr. Soup on Twitch, and I'll see you on Thursday for that first live stream around 10 o'clock UK time, 10 o'clock PM in the evening UK time. Be there or be square. Nonetheless, thank you so much for watching, and coming back away from this rubbishy excuse for an advert for my Twitch channel. I think in all seriousness, it is really interesting thinking about how our mark making changes over time, and what it says about us in the different stages in life that we're in. If you'd asked me in primary school or in high school if I was ever going to change my name, I don't think I could have imagined such a thing. And indeed, actually, it's quite hard to do. It's not like when my amazing wife got married and her name changed, it's just accepted. Women change their names usually when they get married. That's typically what happens. But I had to go and get my name changed by deed poll, and then go around showing everyone, no, this is my name, this was my name, here's my name. So it's no wonder it felt weird to change my my signature and the letters associated with me, my mark. It was bound to be weird, but it's really interesting, and I'm sure I'm not alone. I'm sure we all have changed our signatures and the different things that we play with our names throughout our lives. If you have an interesting example, please do share below. In fact, why not, incoming another advert, why not jump on the Discord server and share your different iterations and logos there? I'd love to see them. Anyway, guys, as I say, thank you for watching. Until next time, do take care. Bye bye.